Cool. Very good. All right. That's the first time I had a little stump issue going on, Mr. Cumby.
Hey.
By the way, for those of you that are jumping in, listening to us for the first time right now, his name is Chris Cumby. It's not just Mr. Cumby, but it's fun to say. Although I said to Chris just a few minutes ago, I'm going to do a special one here today because this guy's multi-talented, multifaceted. I say multi-educated in so many different ways. I've got the Always on the Grow show that I do, and then I've also got the Sales Appeal show. This dude is always on the grow, and he's definitely got his sales appeal and can run with the best of them in terms of not only having built businesses successfully to the tune of multiple seven figures, works with other Titan companies and entrepreneurs that have huge market caps, businesses that are growing, and then infiltrates the sales process. And the dude loves it. I mean, he just absolutely is a fan of everything sales and marketing. So we're going to have a fun conversation today about a lot of different things related to life and sales, because guess what? I think they work together, and we stress that quite a bit. So my man, Chris, it's good to have you, man.
Hey, great to be on, Manny. Great to see you.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Great to see your audience. I got 4 eyes or 6 eyes, one or the other.
By the way, for those that do watch on, if you go over to YouTube, check this out. The eyes that he has behind him, the tiger eyes, those are killer. That's a really good. I was just thinking that before we started this. I was like, that's a really good background.
So, I'm looking at you, brother.
So let's kick it out with this, man. I know you do a radio show on your own, and
yep,
you go live.
Okay.
So when you jump into your radio show, and as people know, I unpack these types of conversations with no agenda. It's naturally flowing. We'll have some fun together, and then we'll certainly make sure we talk about some key things that I think are striking. And what I was going with that was, when you do your radio show, what are you talking about, man? What's your mission, your purpose there? Because I think that'll be a good gateway for us to open up and start discussing some critical things here, man.
Yeah, for sure. On the move. Nice. That's the name of the show. It airs every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time on Florida Man Radio. Really, it was an opportunity that presented itself. I podcast for about 7 years, a couple shows. One was, particularly a lot of fun with another host, Alan Witch, a good friend of mine, called Think Bold, Be Bold, and really cutting our teeth on how do we be ourselves, how do we make it entertaining, how do we draw information out of people, just similar to doing an interview show like you, and that kind of led to content, because a lot of that journey, I couldn't see where, it was possibly going to be of any benefit immediately, but I knew that over time, it will be something we can point to that was sort of the genesis of things, and I always look, life is lived forward, right? You would agree, but often it wouldn't be understood until you look backwards. And when the opportunity presented itself on radio, at a meeting, and I wrote this goal down as well. I just said, hey, wouldn't it be amazing to have a bigger microphone or megaphone at that? And radio is cool because you have to be engaging enough for people to listen in, for one, and that was challenging for me. Can I be engaging for 41 minutes with commercial time and people actually going to come back? And I don't know, like, still to this day, there are not a lot of things that I can point to that say, hey, this is what's happening. But here's the real thing, because you asked me why I did this. I'm getting feedback one at a time from people that I would have never known that was listening, and it's changed them. It's actually got them off the nail. That old saying about why is the hound dog sitting on the nail and howling? And the old man said, well, it doesn't hurt enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's just kind of like life. And I was going through some hurt, some pain, some changes. On the move is something specific in my life that I thought, hey, for my journey, can I share with other people so that if they're stuck, there is a way. There's always a way. There's always absolutely a way. And, my journey represented a way for me to go in a direction where I didn't know necessarily or predict what it was going to be, other than I was going to get up each day and do the same thing. And I was just going to do that. And then whatever else kind of folded into that, at least I can do and get through, knowing that I was going to do that exact same thing. And it was helping me because I was going through depression. Yeah.
So you were banking on routine and discipline there.
Habit.
Okay? Habit. Yep.
Yeah, habit. Also, it's funny because I believe I followed Albert Einstein for a long time, and just so fascinating the way he thought. And I'm a thinker. I'm very introverted. I scan, but I can be extroverted when I need to, just because of my career. But I think I was able to listen well. And even in my life, when I'm stuck, I pick up a book, I look at something, I find a message that I've left for myself. That's the way I kind of conduct my life. Somewhere I've left a message and a clue for myself to get the hell out of what I'm in, or
Absolutely.
to get to a new level, because I know I can, and that potential. So Albert Einstein said a quote, and that's really where the genesis of this whole show came from, On the Move. Nothing happens until something moves.
I love it.
And it just hit me. Yeah, it hit me hard.
Yeah, I appreciate your transparency there. Essentially, working back into the whole progression of the show. You did say a couple key things there that I think at this current time in life, and as much as you and I like to glamorize sales and communication and making money, you said a couple words there: depression. You said challenges stuck, when things aren't necessarily working out for you. I believe it or not, at the core of me, in all of that, I think it's all interwoven. But in terms of this time of the world that we're in, I do think that there is still a level of quote unquote suffering. So I'll go there with you, and I want to know sort of maybe what that was from, because I like to keep it pretty straightforward and honest as it can be, with respect to the guest, feeling that place of comfort to express themselves about what those times were like, and essentially how they navigated that beyond the habit. I understand, okay, I did the habit, but what was more like the source of it, what caused it, and then some of the other methods that you deployed in order to maintain and then continue to get better, essentially. Because I think that's a great topic in today's day and age, especially this time of life, November, as we're recording this, 12th, 2021.
Yeah, right. I think everybody can relate to that one.
Oh yeah.
I guess the big words, like you said, depression, stuck, really come from the self-confidence. Somewhere in that transition of my life, my relationships, the move, I'd had a lot happen, all at once. I immigrated to a new country. We had little ones, babies, growing and trying to figure out, the path. It's not a simple one. It's a simple path, but it's not easy. But you don't know it's simple until you walk as far as you can see, and you can see a little further. But that walk was really long, and probably at some points, that wanting to give up. Like, this is just not going to work. But what I realized is, I don't want to become a statistic, because everybody gives up. And I wanted to figure out how, because I had little like 4 children looking at me, all of them, between ages of 6 and 28. So I had different versions of myself within them. And I looked at my oldest son with 28, and I knew inside my heart that I had to do more for the 6-year-old now in my life, because the stakes are higher. And I changed, and I took responsibility for where I was this moment in time. And I knew that I'm not a quitter, because that's the only way I believe people really fail in life. And I believe that all the things that I've learned are of benefit. And it was a self-realization. It was a moment that I believe. And, Dean Graziosi talks about this a lot, where you have, a hard realization in life, a hard one. Something happens, and it could be in any moment or anything. And, I happen to have a lot all coming at one time. And listen, this is not a pity party either.
Right.
For me, it was like, hey, all right, I'm getting beat up right now. I can either get up or I can stay down. What are you going to do? Because your kids are watching.
Sure.
And
Chris,
and I wanted to let them know that I could get back up and fight, because I had, let's say, the heart of a lion, if you want.
Absolutely.
Just
And you
from
do, man.
sports.
And that's what I love about you. When we met, for everybody, Chris and I met through some mutual friends. We connected, we were chatting it up. We stayed in touch. And again, it's just, the conversation has continued to evolve. The relationship has continued to build. And, we're very thankful for that. Now, what you're sharing, I've learned this. I'm learning more about you. Even, in these moments, we're learning about each other. But I want to kind of understand, you talked about those situational events that you were just talking about, where it's like all coming down on you. What was actually happening, right? Because I think that, because I always question that at like when I hear great stories, tell me, because it's so easy for us to go to the place where, hey, Chris, you built successful businesses, made millions of dollars, right? I mean, and I always like to throw that in there because I want people to realize that you've done some great stuff out of this turning point that you had. And so when you were actually battling, what was life like? Were you unemployed? Were you in a bad marriage? Were you fighting? I know you said you had immigrated. So I'm trying to get some meat to that whole skeleton that you just shared with us. Kind of pun intended there. I think that kind of came out good. Skeleton right? That came out there. But yeah, letting us know what the heck was actually happening in those moments where what was actually like the moment to moment thing. If you don't mind sharing that with us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's easy to go to that moment because it was significant. Here's the thing. I was fat, I was overweight, and I didn't have any confidence.
Got it.
And for me, that just, you have to have some physical, and not that is everything, but for me, it's a strength between my mind and my body. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about shape or the way you look. I'm talking about the connection between how I feel. That's because people can be, however they look and shape and feel, but if they're feeling good, that's really the purpose. So I wanted to figure out how I can feel good. So I came up with some questions, brother, and hard questions, things that I believe that if you can answer and you're honest, and then you go do the things that you need to do to change, and you circle yourself with the right people, whether you can directly connect with them, like you and I, or you can read a book or watch this show or a podcast. You need to find something that's going to tell you that, hey, if you just keep doing the right things consistently and long enough, then you will get there. And the key word is long enough, because most people will drip off and figure out that, this doesn't work, or they're not interested. Let's just relate it to sales. Mm-hmm. We all, people that can do good follow-up, proper follow-up. Like, I'm not talking about calling and saying, hey, do you want to buy? Hey, Manny, remember last time? Do you want to buy?
Yeah.
Hey, remember last time I called and asked you if you want to buy?
I said the same thing. Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, then that person, that makes, I love how you open this up to sales. So that person, that means that person doesn't know what the actual process is like, and they certainly don't have the subsequent skill set to engage in that follow-up, because it's actually really simple. If you think about it, dude, it's like the simplest thing in the world.
Simple. Right? Hey, Manny, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Hey, listen, I want to take a little bit of your time, but if you could do me a favor, if what we talk about today has no interest to you, like none at all, can you just tell me?
I'm not interested.
Okay, great. Yeah. If you see something, will you walk with me until we can, figure out if it's something that works?
Why don't you just send me an email with some data on there, man? I might take a look at it.
Well, what kind of information would you be looking for, Manny, to make a decision like that?
Yeah, just company background, some more about yourself, what the product is. I mean, that would be a good start.
Okay. Hey, listen, we're talking now just for a couple of minutes. I'd love to be able to cover those, in a minute.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that, Chris. I'm a salesman myself, so I understand it, but I'm gonna make you earn this one. You got to send me some stuff, brother.
Really?
Yeah. Not for me right now. Bad time.
Bad time. What's going on right now, Manny? And that it's a bad time.
Just I have other things on my plate right now, and I'm folk. I got to get to this next meeting here in 10 minutes. If you call me back. Call me back next week. Send me an email. I'd be more than happy to see if we can figure out a time to chat.
Okay. Yeah, Manny, I get that. And you know what? All the time I hear the exact same thing from guys like yourself. And I know you're busy. Listen, I'm busy too. I don't want to chase you, but you have a little inkling of interest here because you're asking me for some information.
But I want you to chase me though. That's the fun part. I want to see what you're worth, man. I want to see what you got.
Okay.
If you follow through.
Okay. I always follow through, so that won't be an issue at all. Hey, can you do me a favor? What's the best way that you like to communicate with people? When you're doing business, what's your favorite way? And I'm talking email. Like the favorite way. Email?
Definitely email. Absolutely.
That gets through to you?
Yep. Okay. That's the biggest way nowadays. You snuck through my lines here right now, and I happen to pick up the phone. So
well, lucky me.
It was your lucky day. Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's when the universe connects, and somehow we have a connection, Manny.
It sure does. It
Yeah,
sure
I
does.
know, because when I send you this email, can you do me a favor?
Hey, Chris, I see what you're doing. You're really good, man. But you know what? I got to jump because this meeting's about to pop up, man. I got to go, brother. So
I
send me that information. Follow up with me next week, and let's get after it.
Awesome, Manny. Hey, listen, brother, you have a great meeting. All
Thank
right.
you, Chris. I
I'll
appreciate you,
see you
man.
soon. You
Well
got it.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cheers.
love it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's
Hey,
Chris
man,
Cumby coming at
because
you.
this is what you're going to get
Yep, every day.
every day. That's going to be people getting off the phone, telling you they're busy, send me some information. But here's the thing. This is the cool part. You got to learn, because you're going to get this. We all get this, Manny. You get this, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's why we went through a role play.
Every time.
But the point being is, now it's your opportunity to do something very creative so that that person, Manny, remembers me, right?
That's it right there. You nailed it, man. That's that. Now, what does your follow-up skill look like?
Yeah.
Because most people, they want to hold something in their hand tangibly. Like I just picked up a rock, and what they do is they want to touch it now. But in sales, there's a huge delayed gratification. So you got to put in all the effort ahead of time,
for sure,
to actually start to earn the business before you'll ever have something of value in your hand, whether that turns out to be the financial compensation that turns into nice dinners or a nice place, whatever that turns out to be for you. But you have to put in the work ahead of time. And in sales, my man, as you know, it's a lot of delayed gratification.
For sure. For sure. And let's just cover off what we do, and we'll relate it back to what we're talking about.
Sure.
This is an opportunity for me then to think about my conversation with you. And because I'm creative and I want to be remembered, I implement a small little thing in mail. It's just a little Rubik's Cube, my logo on it. And I will let them know that I can help them solve the problem they're having when they're ready. And it's lumpy mail.
Yep. That's
it
genius.
gets through. It gets through. It gets through.
Brilliant.
And Manny, you're going to remember when I call or I do that email, and again, he may not pick up that email right away. So you've got to learn techniques to get his attention. And we're going somewhere. It's the follow-up. It's the things that I had to do in my life and everything else. It applies the same way.
Sure.
So if you want something bad enough, you'll do the things necessary to learn the path to get there. Because I'll tell you what, if you want to get from here to Miami, from my place, let's say, I've got to go all the way, about 11, 12 hours. And I have no idea what's going to be along that drive. I mean, let's face it, right? Right? Would you agree with that?
Of course.
Yeah, I've got an 11-hour drive. I have no idea. Well, you have to look at life kind of the same way. You have no idea really, but you have to keep driving. And if you have a detour, you got to learn how to navigate around those things, ask good questions, connect with the right people, and don't beat yourself up, because that's what happens. For me, it was like, hey, dude, look it in the mirror. The mirror is my greatest friend now because I have that conversation. But it was hard to look in the mirror when you don't have confidence, you're fat, you're overweight, you don't recognize yourself.
Interesting. Now, you're spot on. And what I'm thinking about is a lot of different things, because I know to be good in sales, you have to have confidence. They don't work together. You can't be successful in sales like you have been and business like you have been without confidence. So a couple things. Did the confidence sort of confidence revival, I'm gonna have to coin that one, confidence revival, come before you started getting really good into your profession, or were you sort of trekking on that road simultaneously with bouts of, hey, I don't feel as confident, but I'm still in sales and I'm still fighting and I'm trying to figure out my confidence, I'm getting back in shape type of thing? And then once you married the two, it was like you went off on a rocket ship. And then, so hold that question. And then my second question on top of that was, you said, sort of what you want, when you know what you want, it's like, going all in. How did you figure out what you wanted? Did you sort of make the decision? Because there's different ways to look at this. Mm-hmm. There are people that know with absolute certainty, they know exactly where they're at, where they want to go, and they literally marry that, and they go on a 50-year run, and that's all they do, and they win really big. There's other people that are testing and experimenting and and they get there as well. So I'm curious about your path there.
Yeah, mine are probably seasons for sure. I always have a very clear vision of who I am, how I feel. But let's face it, a lot of things can be presented along that way. And because of my skill set, I can blend well, and I can I can almost parachute in a lot of different places. I like that a lot. For me, it's a parallel. I believe that you got to believe in yourself, but you got to keep those small promises to yourself to get confidence. That's called self-trust. Like, I know unequivocally I'll bet on myself, even if I fail. It's like when I started the radio show, I knew I was going to suck, but I embrace it. Like, I'm going to suck today. Like, and then I get feedback that was amazing. You know, for me, that still is not enough though, because it wasn't amazing for me. I wanted to still level up. I still wanted to learn. And I appreciate obviously the compliments. I appreciate the criticism. I appreciate all of those things. It helps me go in a place where I can help them. So I believe there's parallels to that. I believe you have to build your self-confidence up by keeping good habits, but also those small promises that you got to keep to yourself. Because if you can't keep them, you're not going to have any trust. And if people don't trust you, believe me, you're going to feel no self-confidence at all.
Sure.
Because they don't believe you. There's something that comes from people that do things and do what they say they're going to do. You know, my first company was called Integrity Marketing, because my dad always said, like, listen, no matter what, just do what you say you're going to do. If you do that, whether it's good, bad, ugly, takes a long time, you know, it doesn't matter. You did it.
Absolutely.
And that to me is like sort of the foundation to everything, that I know that if I'm in a bad spot, I got to trust myself. When confidence is like loosened a little bit or something's challenging it, it comes back to just some basics. It's like, go back. For me, it was like, okay, what can I do? Well, I can run, I can go exercise, I can, you know, whatever that is for people. Listen, I know people are challenged in other ways physically, and I understand that, but there are things that they can do that are equivalent to that exercise. So, you know, whether it's mind or, you know, whatever it may be, like, listen, I can't profess to know what that would be for someone, but I do believe that there's always something for someone. You know why? Because history has told us in all of those cases, you know, whether people were, you know, deaf and couldn't see, or, you know, or paralyzed. And I mean, there's so much greatness out there, but I think greatness comes from that inside, and is the reflection of when you come to a point in life where you love yourself. I mean, you know, when I felt silly back in the day, but I get it unequivocally now. But Brian Tracy was someone who taught me sales. He taught me relation-based. He taught me to synthesize what I hear. You're good at that, man. You're very good at, hey, listening, synthesize. Listening, synthesize. And synthesizers are able to take complex information, bring it down, and then deliver it in a way that someone can understand. Yeah. That in sales, you should learn that skill. Learn to synthesize really, really well.
Let's not let that flow through us. Let's not let that synthesize without people understanding. Hold your thought real quick, because what you see immediately, Jesus, I don't know what to say. I even did my warm-up exercises this morning. I sure did. I was reading Sir Beelzebub and Mariner Man. I was getting my tongue twisters out. I still flopping my words, man. Holy crap. So what I was going to say is what we're experiencing today, when you give me credit, and I appreciate that, is 5+ years worth of work, dude. It is like in the trenches, getting good at that. Because if you would have known me before, you'd be like, wow, like, the kid has some desire and he's hungry to some extent, but he doesn't know how to communicate every other word. So anyway, I just want people that are listening to realize the practice of these things. When we say, hey, you can become this, you can learn this, you can do this. Yeah. I mean, you are just walking examples of that. So that's what I want.
We all are. I mean, everybody that you follow and that you see, they sucked at the beginning. Like, believe me. So embracing that. So you asked me what I want and how I go through that process. And that's why I have a pen, you know, always. This is, you know, believe me, this is my magic wand, brother.
Let me give you credit, by the way. That's a great CC. So that's great. What would I say? I would say interpersonal communication skill right there, because you able to keep the thought, answer a thought or question, circle back to the actual second question, which I was like, keep that one, do this one too. And then you brought it back. So, because that closes the loop in people's minds. Because like, hey, dude, you asked him this question I was ready for. So if somebody's listening right now, they're like, oh, great, he's back at that question. So I love it, man.
Right. Yeah. And here's the thing. If you listen a lot, and I observe so much, when people ask questions, there's hardly an answer back in so much communication. So you wonder why people argue, they don't get it, they're not on the same page, they're not aligned. You know, like, it's communication. It's so powerful. You got to learn how to do it properly. And listen, I'm not saying I'm a great communicator from a sense of, you know, fixing everything in the world, but what I am good at is listening, responding, and coming back to your point to circle off that question. So
that's genius.
5 questions that I have, powerful ones. And for those, this is my magic wand. I wrote the Success Playbook originally with a pen, because pen crystallizes thoughts. It helps you see things differently. And I love being able to use a white blanket piece of paper because I can create, and we're creators. So pen and paper always when you're with me, around me anyway.
You're an artist.
5 questions. Yes, same thing.
Yep.
Artist. And I take my sales as our artistic.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Dude.
Yeah, that's my style. It's who I am. I don't have to be anybody else, even though all those little nibbles of things and nuggets, dude, I love them. I learn from you. I learn from everybody, all the greats as well, getting back to Brian Tracy, teaching me to love myself, right?
Hold on.
Love myself. Love
myself. Did I just get thrown in with the great somehow, man? Is that
yeah,
what
man.
Just happened?
Yeah, you're great.
Is that what just happened?
You're great. I've listened to you, man. You're great. And I believe that. And for sure, dude. I mean, it's just now an expression of that into the world, in any way you can. And you're doing that now in the show and everything else. I mean, throw $1 million bucks at social media and you'll be the biggest thing on the planet.
Oh, hey now.
Yeah, let's go.
Get them, man. Let's go.
5 questions, very powerful questions. What do you want? When I was going through my depression, that was the first place I had to go is, what do I really want? Like, I know what I don't want. Like, I'm living what I don't want.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
And there's that fine line between wanting and having. So a lot of times what happens is, the human condition is we always, we want something, but we don't have it. Which way do we go? We go to not having it. Well, how do you feel when you don't have it?
Oh God, just torn.
Right?
You're torn. You're like, oh,
right. But then how do you feel when you want it?
Motivated, driven, like.
Yeah. Which feeling feels better?
Oh man, that's the second one. Obviously, the latter. It's like.
So why is the human condition going to not having it when it's very possible for you to have anything? You just have to feel it, and the feeling needs to come first. And then you can attach yourself to the actions, the necessary ones every day to go do it. So when you know what you want, you have to ask the same question of, why do I want it? Why do I want that? Why do I want that thing? Why am I going to make that phone call? Why? Like, I always love to reverse engineer things, right?
Yes.
Right. So really, if we're emotional beings and we're frequency, and we have a vibration, right? And if we think of ourselves as a transmitter and a receiver, okay? Think of that for a moment. Okay, think of a radio. I'm on radio. Can you hear my show on 103.2 FM? Of course.
Yep.
No. It's on 103.1.
Oh, sorry. Oh, see,
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I should have went the other way. You're like, yeah.
Of course you can, man.
Yeah, of course. No. It's on 103.1
I was off by
FM.
decimal. Damn it.
Yeah. So, but if you are in radio, you can't hear it. You might hear a little bit fuzzy, right? So that's the same thing in life. If you're not tuned in to the emotion that you're having every day, and people say, well, when I'm stuck, what do I do? Well, give gratitude. Change your emotional feeling. Just change it immediately. Give gratitude. You're here. So for me, that moment of going through the transitionals, what do I want? Well, first, I wanted to finish my first 5K. I was fat, overweight, my knees killed, my ankles, everything was just like not working. And I was an athlete for most of my life, wrestled, played soccer. So I was always moving. That was my first goal. Well, why did I want it? Well, I knew that I needed to get back to where I felt. And this is the thing, when I felt the greatest. And I went back to when I was 33 years old, killing it, building my business. I even found the jacket that I was wearing when I got my $1 million check in commissions.
And you put it on, you're like, oh, damn.
Dude, it didn't fit.
Right.
Didn't put it on. I could barely
You tried, you got one arm in the thing. You're like, oh, okay.
Dude, it just wouldn't fit. But here's what I did. I had to get myself connected to that feeling of what it was in that moment in time that I was at my greatest. And then I just went through a process of doing what I needed to do every day to fit into that jacket. Bro, that jacket was everything. So I anchored myself. It's NeuroLinguistic Programming, by the way.
Sure.
Many people don't believe in it, but the fact is we're doing it every single day. We're using that system. We're using the vibration, the frequency, and what you send out, guess what? You're getting back. I'll tell you, what you feel like right now is a reflection of what's going on in your life, bar none. And how you feel most of the time is a reflection of what's actually happening. So our thoughts are things, and that's powerful. So I went to emotion. why do I want that feeling? So why do I want that feeling?
What do you want? Why do you want that feeling?
No, what do you want?
Right?
What do you want?
What do you want?
What feeling will you have when you get it?
Got it. That was 2. Okay.
Why do you want that feeling?
Why do you want that feeling? Got it.
Or sorry, you're messing me up.
I messed you up, man. I threw you a big old curveball there.
What do you want? Why do you want it?
Yeah.
What feeling will you get when you get it? Why do you want that feeling? And why is that feeling missing now? I mean, think about it. Powerful questions. And if you contemplate that, and you, the audience right now, contemplate that, write it down. We'll make sure somewhere in the show notes or something, those 5 questions come out, but I'll say it again. What do you want? Why do you want it? What feeling will you have when you get it? Why do you want that feeling? If you're an emotional being and you're a transmitter and receiver of energy, all you got to do is change to that feeling and frequency and you'll get it. But why is that feeling missing now? You've got to find out reasons. Am I focused? What do I do when I get up in the morning? Am I focused on the vision of my future or the problems of my past? Which one?
So, I mean, I can go so many different directions with this, but I have spent, in fact, Patrick Bet-David wrote this book right here.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah. So I think we talked about him. So he talks a lot about that. Like the first part of the book is exactly what you just said. It's like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? Right. And the fact that you know that as the anchor point of your question sequence means that you're plugged in to the right question to be asking yourself so that you can do everything else in addition to that, on top of that. Because once you know that, it's like, okay, now we're really in the jet stream. It's challenging for most people to figure. I've had the challenge. Like, what the hell do I want?
We talked about this.
It cycles. Sure. Yeah. It's what we just went through. It was me just connecting with you saying, hey, I'm, stopping doing my training. I'm going to start doing corporate America, and it cycles. But for you, did you find something that gave you insight, or did you have a process essentially to help you choose or go down that path of figuring out what it is you wanted back in your time? I mean, to make $1 million at 33 in commissions is pretty impressive. Were you just young and essentially sampling life, or were you like, did somebody say, hey, no, stop, do this now. If you do this, you're going to make this and become this. You're like, shit, okay, I'm in. What did that look like for you? Because that process for most people, and I think that's really what affects most people, is people don't know what the hell they want, right? Even in my personal life, myself personally having the issue, in our relationship, we're conversating about these things, and we're volleying the concepts back and forth because it's a very challenging thing where I think sometimes we can become our own worst enemy. So I'm curious on your whole take on that specific piece of that puzzle.
Yeah. Goals, brother. Goals.
Okay.
People don't have what they potentially can have in life because they lack goals. That's just the honest truth.
But the goal itself is a byproduct of what? It's like, okay, a lot of people have, I think you think the wrong goals. I want to make $1 million. Okay, great. Okay, well, shit, how am I going to do that? Well,
that's where they went wrong. They started talking about, necessarily how.
Okay.
That's why I get back to the emotion and the feeling. Money is just a vibration. $1 million is a vibration.
Yep.
You just got to connect with the right vibration and do what makes you feel good and what you're good at, where you're contributing for that to be able to accumulate into $1 million. And that could be all kinds of things. That could be a $49 course times, how many people to get to $1 million. Sure. Or it could be $1 million commission based on going out into an industry that allows you to do that. Now, you get into some of that how, but you got to know why. Really, for me, it was like just setting goals and knowing why I wanted them. What was it going to do for me? Where is it going to get me? I often set goals for taking care of certain things in my life. Well, if I did that and I got that, well, that's going to be taken care of for a long time. I loved residual business. So you asked me a question, what, kind of that path and everything else. Well, I was motivated by, money, because I knew what money can do. Not because money was everything in my life. I just saw and I had a glimpse into what money can do. I was in a job doing really well, working with Pepsi, having lots of fun, tons of fun, building, but I learned a ton, but I couldn't make any more. I could put a lot more effort in, but they weren't going to pay me anymore for doing that. And I was motivated to level up. So I had to find something that was going to fit my level of motivation, which was goal setting. Well, I did that. So how much more can I make? Well, let's go to the next level, but not just the next level where it's incremental. I went like double up. Like I want to go, all right, if I can double up, dude, what would my life be like now?
Absolutely.
So I start feeling what my life would be like now. And I just do the necessary things to start going and doing it. And that's the thing. You have to stay consistent no matter what happens. And believe me, I had a ton of obstacles, like everybody in life. Nothing just like fell in anybody, my lap, especially, or anybody that's done anything significant. People don't see the things that you had to go through, the amount of effort, the amount of self, reliance in a lot of ways, because you need to become, in my belief, you need to become your coach, your counselor, your motivator,
Everything.
teacher.
Yep. Agreed,
Right.
man.
And you got to be all of that. And you got to have that ability to trust. And that just takes, for me, is just setting some goals, objectives. And sometimes, you said it earlier, and, people know where they really want to go and early in life. For me, it was the motivation of building something so that I can make enough money to have a lifestyle that was going to make me feel good, and that I can do the things necessary for the people that I needed to do them for, and my family and everything else. So
Absolutely.
And that pushes me. And when you hit a rock, and believe me, there are a lot of people that did well. Money comes back. Money comes back. Time doesn't. Right.
Come on now. That's right.
Right.
Absolutely,
So, what was important for me is like to realize, like, all right, I did it. I know I can go and actually do what I did before. But if I'm going to try, something new in my life, that's going to, bring something greater, like expressing myself in a way that can help more people, because I could stay in my silo and make $1 million commissions and no one knows, and I'm not helping anybody.
Right. You're a great sales guy.
Yeah.
You're still
For
helping
me,
somebody,
it's just,
but not like you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
like where you're
yeah.
at now.
Yeah. And that was really my draw. That was my feeling. Like, how can, how do I take my life? And believe me, lots of people have like worse off conditions for sure. But for me, it was like, well, if I can relate with some dad that is having, trouble, and they have 4 kids, and things are going on in their life, what can I share with them? So again, taking nasty chaos in life and everything else, I synthesized, and I figured out how to like put it into a formula, if you want. And the formula started off with making sure I knew those questions unequivocally. And then, from there, things evolved, and it's actually called My Evolution. That's my program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talk a lot about, and I hear it, is essentially you have control of yourself, right? It's totally an inward observation. It's an inward play that manifests itself outwardly. Now, because of what you just shared, I want to touch on the Pepsi thing, because you said you were working with Pepsi and then you transitioned. Were you a corporate America guy? Did you have a regular job with a salary?
Yeah.
Or was that sales? So,
yeah, I had a regular salary, with some bonuses and all the other stuff they
but it
throw at
wasn't
you.
sales.
A rubber tree. Yeah, I was in sales.
Oh,
A
it
rubber
was
tree
sales.
plant. Yep. I
Okay.
was in sales. I
Got it.
started with the company, actually in accounting, because
Okay.
I thought the guys that counted the money had the money.
Okay. So this is
When I was
interesting, by the way.
younger.
So this is
Yeah,
why I
yeah.
wanted to go here, because a lot of people are like, I'm doing my thing. I'm skilled at this. I can only make 120 grand in salary, and wherever they're at. But you know what? The world is changing right now. There's a need for more salespeople than ever. And millennials, my generation, I don't know what
The greatest profession in the world.
Right. Exactly. But you got to get your ego in check. You've got to get your worth in check. You've got to check a lot of these fundamental things that you're talking about here, Chris, because if not, you're going to be really challenged. So there's a lot of deep work, I think, that needs to go on in that. But one of the best ways to do it is go throw yourself in the fire, right? You'll get better if you've got the strength to hang in there.
You got to embrace the suck.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. You and I are on the exact same page. It's like, give me the suck. Like, I know I'm going to go out there and fall flat on my face, dude. That's why I think one of the many reasons we connect so well. But to your point is a lot of people out there right now are thinking about, by the way, the numbers are staggering. If you look at the people that aren't working, the number of sales jobs that are available, the number of the sales jobs that are needed from a workforce of us millennials that don't want to take sales jobs because they think it's too salesy and old school car salesman type thing. So these companies are like just stressed trying to find great and talented salespeople.
Yeah.
But what I wanted you to share was you went from accounting to then doing sales. because you realize like, hey, and the point is you probably went from making, I don't know, in accounting to $1 million commission. Guys and gals, please like listen to this. What you can do. Hey, I'm making an accounting probably salary or
I was
hourly
making nothing, 50K, I think. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
$1 million in commissions when you made that shift. And it didn't happen overnight, obviously, but your mindset of
it
that.
didn't take long either. That's the
Okay.
thing, you know, and in a grand scheme of life, it's like, hey, Manny, here's this. And I know the show's going to wrap up soon. So if I was to tell you, hey, Manny, 5 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever, pick it, 5 years from now,
Yep.
Everything that you want, that you can see in your life, that you feel you're going to get 100%. I'll guarantee it. You just got to sign this contract. But the contract's going to require you to do a few things, right? Absolutely. You actually have to take action. Mm-hmm. You got to stop listening to other people about what is important to your life. You got to do what you want and you love and experience that in a way that, again, is going to get you to that goal. And that goal could be for anything. I don't care what $1 million, whatever it is. But if you want an expression of that to come true, you just have to believe, keep the small promises to yourself, build that confidence up. And what happens is, like magic, vibration rises, and now things are finding you. And the intertwining of like conversation, your reticular activator is going off now at an alarming rate, because all that hard work, because you know unequivocally with that contract that you're going to get there, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Like, it's going to happen. You got to believe that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now it's just going through the motions. You're going to hit a wall. What are you going to do? All right, well, I got to find a way. I got to find a window. I got to find some way to bridge over, or climb it, whatever I've got to do. But remember, challenges are the high fence, right? They keep the wannabes, the weak, the pretenders out. All you got to do is keep to your promise and that contract and do the work that's necessary every day. That's it. Pivot where you need to, learn. And listen, there are going to be things that are going to make you feel a certain way, but you got to recognize that feeling. Getting back to, you want to know where you are every day? Check your feeling. How do you feel? How do you feel right now? Because that feeling is your guiding light. But most people, unfortunately don't realize that feeling is actually projecting everything that's going on.
That's solid right there. I hate to
learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That paying attention to having the sense of awareness to feel out that feeling that you're experiencing is invaluable. It's like the light, right? It's like shining itself. It's like, hey, don't go that way. If you feel bad, not good. Let's turn a corner and go this way.
Yeah, sure.
Chris, to what you just said, I think what you just said is imperative to the contractual nature of signing something and then following through on it. No different than a business deal would have you do. Mm-hmm. And you're obligated. But
promise.
It's actually like, one thing I thought of is like, hey, actually write a contract to yourself, right? It's like you're talking about with your questions. And now go write go download a contract off of the internet and just, change the wording and put, sure. I so-and-so commit to this, and list out these things that Chris just said. And I think the one thing that, in addition to that has, really plagued someone like me through this journey, the journey is never ending, which is why it's always ongoing. But it's something I sent to a mentor yesterday about, it really is a mental game. We have these weird models of life in our mind, but at the end of the day, it's like all these different things. If you don't get that under control, and you said belief, you got to believe in yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, spend all the time that you can figuring out how to find the way to believe in yourself. Like if you have a place where you're like, go into that, start with that at the root amongst all these other things, because that will allow something to spread like wildfire. But man, big I know time. You got to jump here in a second. Last thing I want to ask you, parting sales advice for anybody, something that you haven't said yet, some great nugget you've been holding down underneath the beautiful shirt that you got there on your chest and your back with a big heart. And then the second question is, to finish up, what does always on the grow mean to you?
Okay. Some parting words. I will leave this with, your audience and yourself for that matter. find what it is you want and reverse engineer it. And meaning that whatever direction that is, I want you to think about a concept and a framework. Really easy, simple. We talked about this. Make it simple, not hard. Simple is, for me, is always be connected to that direction. Whatever that direction is, who do I need to communicate with? Right? Including yourself. How are you going to communicate? Right? Who do I need to be or become? We talked about that. Who do I need to become to have that in my life? Because if you were that, you would already have that.
Y'all better listen to that.
So be consists of a few things, making sure that physically you're doing things, mentally you're working just as hard, you're reading, you're connecting, you have influence around you that's different from what you have now. So you need some new stuff. Who are the influencers of whatever that is you want? Who are the people listen to? What's the surroundings? Find out whatever that direction, do the research. Who do I need to communicate with? I just reverse engineer everything. Who do I need to become? Attitude, man. You got to get up every day and have a bloody good attitude. If you don't have a good attitude, you're going to have a real hard time. And that's the honest truth. Attitude can go so far and so wide. So many people don't realize the power they have within just that thing right there. And action. A good attitude with some action, no matter what that action is, it'll create wonders for you. And that's truth. So A, B, C, D, always be connected to your direction. I think that if you have that framework in your mind every single day and you get up with a good attitude, you take some action, all those other things will start to come into play. So that's that. Always be on the grow. For me, it's like that, growth. I mean, you can't grow in a comfort zone. Growth comes from pressure. Something,
Amen.
It comes from pressure. And I think that that's what that means for me. And sometimes you got to put yourself in uncomfortable places in order to see what you can do with it. Like my show, right? Going back full circle to my radio show. My radio show is designed for me personally to challenge myself to see where I can really bring it. And now 16 shows in, I'm a pretty good radio host.
Dude, absolutely.
I'm getting better.
Of course.
And I believe that I'll just continue to get better. And because of that, some amazing things have already found me, and I'm really excited to announce 2022 very soon on what's happening. So, on that note,
you do a great job, man. It was an absolute joy to have this happen. Where can people be pointed to listen? Is there a standalone
Christopher
page?
Cumby, ChristopherCumby.com. It's all there.
Perfect. There you have it.
Cumby. You can
That's
probably
right.
see it on the screen here.
For those of you that, obviously the last name, I've joked with them once in a while about the last name Gumby. Because Gumby, that was a good old classic character right there.
Absolutely.
This man is one himself. So
I appreciate
you, brother. Thank you, my man.
Back at you.
All right. Have a good one.
And to the audience, go do it, man. Take some action on the move.
Boom. There you go.